You're saying, I just want to assume Hugh's loan, all right? And so under those circumstances, you should just be able to just kind of work out a deal directly with Hugh. I'm not involved because my only concern as a lender is I'm getting paid, okay? Now, under those circumstances, you would potentially be making, you could be working it out a couple different ways. You could just simply start making the payments directly to me, or you could be making them to Hugh, Hugh makes them to me, because there's an issue of whether or not I am going to be releasing Hugh of his liability and allowing him to transfer that liability to you. Does that make sense? Because if Hugh sells it to you, and then all of a sudden, a few months in, you stop making payments, who am I going to go after? Well, potentially Hugh, unless I have, released Hugh from responsibility and are, looking at you now to be responsible. Does that make sense? Now, because of that, and a few other little factors, most lenders don't like assumable loans, okay, and preclude the use or allowance of those assumable loans if they know about it, okay? There are an awful lot of people that use assumable loans, like for example, Hugh gets this property from me in the sense of borrowing this money from me, but then Hugh says, all right, well, I want to potentially turn around and sell it to one of my good friends, all right? Well, Hugh may never tell me about this, me as the lender, and this directly does this with you, and the payments are still potentially coming from Hugh, so I don't have any knowledge of this transaction ever occurring, and there's not going to be inherently any change of ownership with regard to any sort of a title transaction or a deed being reissued. You're going to be basically doing pretty much a contract for deed, which just simply means you're going to be making payments to him, and he's going to be making payments to me, and then once the property is completely paid off with me, then I can issue a deed to him, he can turn it over to you. Does that make sense? Okay? Now, as I said, a lot of times the lender doesn't want that to happen because they don't want this, messiness to potentially, be out there, and they want to be dealing directly with the person who's making the payments because, quite frankly, they're the ones that were qualified on the loan. Okay? Now, this is also part of the reason why that with commercial loans, the loans are made on the viability of the property, not so much on the borrower. Okay? And because obviously with commercial property, you've got people that maybe own the company today who are not necessarily going to be the same people that own the company tomorrow, or they've got shares of stock that are constantly trading, and so that quote-unquote person that you made the loan to, maybe no longer exist, in the scheme of things. Well, you don't want to have to constantly be going and getting a brand new loan on the property as a commercial venture. So to a certain extent, whenever you sell the company, by default, you're really creating, in one sense, an assumable loan. Does that make sense? Because in essence, as you sell your stock in the company to Frederick, in essence, Frederick is assuming that loan. So now, there are instances of where there are types of loans that exist that are purposely set up as assumable loans, and traditionally, like Veterans Administration loans, are typically assumable, and after a certain period of time, once again, for residential properties, and there's some value there because you may be able to get a really low interest rate, below market interest rate on those loans, and then subsequently sell them to someone else and be able to profit, if you will, from having had that below market interest rate loan. Okay, conceptually, does that make sense? Okay, let's look practically, and we'll be done. So we got a $100,000 loan, let's go with a 5% interest rate on this one. Okay, 5% interest rate, 15 years, we get our payment, all right, and we've been making payments for, let's say, the past 5 years, so we're just going to do one input, 60, shift, amortize, equal, 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 to get our balance at the end of 60. So let's start with this. So under this scenario, we got a $100,000 loan, 5% interest rate, 15 years. Our normal monthly payment would have been $790. And so that's what, let's say, Hugh would have been paying for the first 5 years of that loan. And then at the end of that 5 years, Hugh's balance on that loan would be the $74,557.09. Okay, does that make sense? All right. So now, in terms of turning this over to Frederick with regard to the assumable loan, technically, one thing that Frederick could do is just start taking over these payments of the $790 for the remaining 10 years. And could basically be paying, you know, the difference between this and the original $100,000 as just a down payment, you know, to Hugh, technically. Would be one way to approach this. Yes?
Say that again?
Okay. Assuming the market value of the property has not changed over this time period, to keep everything simple. If Frederick is overtaking this loan as an assumable loan, what he would do at the end of this 5-year period is he would continue to make payments of $790, and then on top of that would probably pay Hugh the difference between the $100,000 and the $74,000, so about $25,000-ish, okay, dollars in cash. But let's throw a wrinkle in there. Okay, the wrinkle is assume that interest rates have gone up dramatically over that 5-year period. Okay, so if that's the case, let's just sort of, we can do this a couple different ways. We'll do it this way. I'm trying to think of an easy way to do this. All right, let's just go ahead and take this as our balance, $557.09. And once again, we're going to 12 payments per year, clear all. All right, and at this point we have 10 years remaining, okay, because 5 years have elapsed. So 10 years as our term. And our interest rate maybe has gone up from 5% to, let's say, 8%. So a 3% increase in our interest rate. What would be our new monthly payment? $904.58. Okay, does everybody see that? Yes or no? Okay, so for the remaining 10 years at an increased interest rate of 8%, if Frederick were to have gone out and got a brand new loan just on the balance of Hugh's loan, then his monthly payment, instead of being $790, would be $904. Yes? Okay. The difference of $114.58 difference. Yes? Yes, yes, yes? Okay, now, super simple calculation. How long or how many payments is that going to be? 10 years worth, yes? So that's how many months? 120. So if we multiply that by 120 months, $13,749.99 would be the savings that Frederick would achieve by doing this assumable loan with you. Does that make sense, everybody? Yes or no? Okay, now, this is what the real question is. how much in upfront cash money would Frederick be willing to give you for that savings? Does that make sense? Okay? That we would probably discount that savings to some other sort of dollar amount. Now, the thing is, you're not obligated to give Hugh that money, but in one sense, by assuming that loan from Hugh, that assumption is worth something, is my point. Because it keeps you from having to go get a new loan. Just the brain damage alone of getting the new loan is enough to potentially, you know.
I would wrap that loan.
Well, we're going to get to wrap loans later. Okay. So right now, this is going to be the upfront savings, or the savings over the term. All right. So what we can do. All right. We put in the $114.58 as a payment for 120 months. And then now the interest rate that we may put in this particular instance, we can kind of make a choice of whether we want to do conservative or more liberal. But the highest interest rate we would put in would be what is the new interest rate, which I think was 8%, correct? Yep, 8%. And then solve for present value. And then we can also put in the original interest rate of 5% and solve for present value. Okay? Okay? Here the discounted value would be $9,443.85. Here, the discounted value would be $10,802.76. So, technically, mathematically, economically, we should be paying, or Frederick should be paying Hugh probably somewhere between these two, or certainly less than $10,800. Okay, because he pays him more than that, then he's giving him way too much of a premium for that particular loan. Does that make sense?
On top of the down payment.
On top of the down payment. Okay. All right.
Who did we get the 10,000?
5%. So
Oh.
the 8% versus the 5%. Okay. All right.
So is that 10,000 like his down payment, the most down payment issue?
No, this has nothing to do with the down payment. This is totally separate from the down payment. This is simply the value of the assumable mortgage. In other words, we're getting the lower interest rate.
It's like a bonus.
It's a bonus. Okay.
I'm also kind of like a mix up with this whole thing. So like, okay, so in the first section where you have like the 5%
Yep.
For the interest.
Yep.
That's what like in your assumption what
That's the original loan.
The original loan.
This would be the loan if Frederick were to go out into the market and get a brand new loan with a brand new lender.
A brand new lender. Okay.
And so all we're saying is this would then be the savings between the two payments.
If Frederick were to go to Hughes
Yes.
at the end of the 5th year, was it?
Correct. So the savings would be a difference of a monthly payment of $114.58 for the 10 years or 120 months, or $13,749 in total out-of-pocket savings by assuming Hughes' loan.
And that includes with the roughly 25,000 Frederick.
That I would be on top of that.
Okay.
Because that is, to pay off what Hugh has already paid down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's like the 114.
So in other words, okay, let's to make things simple here. All right. So in essence, you're going to be still paying Hugh the $74,557.09 plus whatever the difference between 100,000 and that is, which is 25,000. $442.91. So you're paying Hugh the full $100,000 for the property, plus what we're saying now is you would be paying him absolutely no more than an additional $13,000 if you were just to just look at it as a totally just cash out of pocket. But we're not going to pay that because obviously most of those payments are occurring within over the next 10 years. So you want to discount that back to the present. So if we use the 8% interest rate, we would pay a maximum of $9,400 on top of the $10,000, or potentially as much as $10,800 on top of this, okay? So it's not an absolute fixed, it's gonna be a negotiated amount between him and Hugh. All we're trying to establish is what is the appropriate amount that we would potentially want to charge, or Hugh would want to charge Frederick, okay? So if Hugh could just simply say, I only want to charge you $5,000, that would be a heck of a deal for Frederick. But if Hugh were to say, I want to charge you $15,000 to assume my loan, that's a stupid deal, okay? Frederick should walk away and go get the traditional bank loan. But then whenever we're in this range of between $9,400 and let's say $10,800, you know, it's not really, you know, that good or bad of a deal. It's just it's an okay deal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's all we're really saying with this. And so what is the value of that assumability feature? We're saying if we base it on the 8%, the value of the assumability is $9,400. If we base it on the 5%, the value of the assumability is $10,800. Okay? Got it?
That had 10,000 in addition to.
In addition to the 100,000 for the property itself. Okay. All right, let's move forward. Yep. I'm pass the other one out in just a second. And once again, like last time, this is open notes.